Every era tells people the same story, that the world is messy, that power is necessary, that ordinary people can protest, vote, post, and complain, but the real decisions will still be made somewhere above them. And for a long time, that story looked believable. Because the map was divided, the tools were scarce, the ledgers were closed, the institutions were distant, and the people most affected by decisions rarely had a practical way to understand, verify, coordinate, and act at the same speed as the systems governing them. But that is no longer the world we live in. Today, billions of people are connected. Money can move digitally. Communities can organize instantly. AI can explain complexity in seconds. And yet, when crisis hits, war, corruption, disaster, broken infrastructure, budget opacity, civic distrust, most people still discover the same thing. They have a voice, but they do not have an execution layer. They can post, they can trend a topic, they can donate blindly, they can sign a petition, they can react, but they still cannot easily do the full civic loop in one place. Raise the issue, see the options, vote on a decision, fund the response, track the money, verify the outcome, learn what worked, and carry that trust forward. That missing loop is not a small product gap. It is one of the biggest structural gaps in modern civilization. This film is about that gap, why it exists, why the old operating system keeps reproducing it, why AI makes the problem more urgent, and why a new civic layer, people-owned, transparent, AI-assisted, and ledger-based, has become not just imaginable, but buildable. To understand why this gap exists, it helps to stop thinking about politics as a sequence of elections and start thinking about history as a sequence of operating systems. In the earliest systems, the tribe was enough. Small groups, direct relationships. Then came the empire. Scale became the new problem, and empire answered with roads, taxation, law, armies, and the concentration of power. Empires created order, but order by distance, hierarchy, and force. Then came the nation-state, an extraordinary machine for industrial society. Borders, national identity, mass bureaucracy, centralized records, finance ministries, standing institutions, uniform law, and later, digital administration. But what solved yesterday's scale problem created today's legitimacy problem. Because the nation-state operating system was built for an era of slower communication and top-down administrative control. It was not designed for a civilization where information moves instantly. Your own project material captures this elegantly. Tribal networks as OS 1.0, empires as OS 2.0, the nation-state as OS 3.0, and then the open question of what comes next. The point is that its code is no longer sufficient for the complexity it now claims to manage. When an operating system begins to fail, the first signs are familiar. Workarounds multiply. Trust degrades. People use disconnected tools to solve connected problems, and the official interface becomes slower than real life. That is where much of the world now lives. One reason the current operating system feels so brittle is that its highest institutions are simultaneously global in ambition and narrow in control. Consider the UN Security Council. Under Article 27, substantive decisions can be blocked by any one permanent member. The world has universal language when it comes to human dignity, but it still has exceptional logic when it comes to power. And that logic does not only appear at the level of war, it appears in finance too. The World Bank is now calling for much more radical debt transparency because opaque borrowing structures make crisis harder to price and harder to fix. What cannot be seen accurately cannot be trusted accurately. The same pattern shows up over and over. Global rules, partial visibility, formal institutions, weak execution, public rhetoric, private complexity. This is why so many people feel politically over-informed and civically underpowered. They can see more, they can know more, but they still cannot do enough with what they know. That is the fatal friction point. The 20th century built institutions for representation. The 21st century requires institutions for participation, verification, and execution. The world has become very good at expression, very good at distribution, very good at outrage. It has not become equally good at civic closure. Social platforms let people capture the moment, but the workflow usually breaks before trust is complete. Who verified the claim? Who approved the project? Who held the treasury? Where are the receipts? Who confirmed delivery? Those are not niche questions. They are the missing architecture of public trust. The world is far more digitally and financially ready than many civic systems behave. So the issue is not simply access anymore. The issue is coordination design. A trustworthy civic operating system cannot just be social media plus blockchain. It has to be a complete process architecture. Money is where abstract trust becomes practical trust. People will tolerate imperfect rhetoric longer than they will tolerate invisible money. If a community donates to disaster relief, it wants to know where the funds went. Blockchain is useful here for one reason. It can create durable, auditable histories of disbursements, approvals, and receipts. It does not eliminate politics, but it makes it materially harder to hide process or rewrite trails. The goal is visible public process with protected personal rights. Public money should have public traceability. Community mandates should have auditable legitimacy. That balance is why this category is worth building carefully. If the old system already had a trust problem, AI turns that problem into a fork in the road. Because AI can either widen public capability or intensify concentrated control. The IMF has warned that AI could affect around 60% of jobs in advanced economies. If AI is treated as a public utility layer, bounded, explainable, and multilingual, it can do something extraordinary. It can turn unreadable documents into intelligible summaries. It can simulate trade-offs. It can compare budget options. OnePieceJourney presents AI as a civic co-pilot, an explainer, a modeler, a translator, a public intelligence layer that helps people govern better without taking governance away from them. That is a much more credible story than AI will decide for us. So what does a replacement layer actually look like? Not a forum alone, not a wallet alone. A civic operating system works only when all of those pieces reinforce each other: identity, membership, proposals, treasuries, and voting. A user can belong to communities, raise an issue, vote, and still use marketplace features that keep the platform active. Civic tools usually fail from inactivity, but the winning architecture is high-frequency utility carrying low-frequency legitimacy. This is how OnePieceJourney should be framed. Not as an app users visit only when they are angry, but as a trusted operating layer they already inhabit when collective action becomes necessary. We begin with a person joining the platform. Identity verified. Location aware. Community suggested. Wallet provisioned. Then we show the community feed. Mission-aware communication, proposals, and verified evidence. Then the civic flow. A water issue in a district. A funding request. AI summarizes the problem. Options are explained in plain language. A vote opens. The treasury shows available funds. A contractor is selected. Disbursement occurs in stages. Receipts are uploaded. Delivery proof is reviewed. Completion is verified. This is where OnePieceJourney becomes legible as a category creator. Then, the emergency layer. A disaster alert triggers a relief wallet. Donors see incoming flows. Field teams upload receipts and geotagged proof. The map updates in real time. It is a civic operating system: communication, treasury, consent, and verification. Now the investor question: why could this become a real business? Because the market is already real. Roughly 6 billion people are online. The adoption question is, which product can organize existing behaviors into a trusted system? Stage 1. Software for communities and NGOs. Stage 2. Transaction revenue from marketplace flows. Stage 3. Premium modules for institutions. Stage 4. Protocol-level revenue. The moat is the combination of trust graph, treasury, and AI history. Phase 1 is trusted pilots, community onboarding, transparent wallets, and issue reporting. Phase 2 expands the network across cities and federations. Phase 3 moves into protocol depth and white-label deployments. Phase 4 is intercity coordination. The KPI dashboard is visible: monthly active communities, vote participation rate, and treasury transparency scores. Measure trust, not just traffic. This is a journey toward public trust infrastructure. The investment ask is a seed round to fund the first 12 to 18 months. Product build, security hardening, and pilot communities. Help build the systems that make trust practical again. That is the thesis. That is the product. That is the opportunity. OnePieceJourney is not a perfect utopia. It is a better operating layer for collective action. A journey from opaque systems to legible systems. from disconnected tools to one Civic stack. Help build the future of trust.